Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Race to Power with me, Raisha Sehgal. On the show tonight from the United States of America, we will tell you how US President Donald Trump has set a new deadline, August 1st, and revealed plans to step up his trade wars but delayed tariff hikes on goods from key economies until next month. The question we ask tonight is, how close will this be to what Trump announced on April 2nd? From Kenya, meanwhile, we will tell you how the country is limping back to normalcy after demonstrations on Monday which claimed 11 lives and left several injured. Well, starting off from the United States of America, where US President Donald Trump reignited his trade war by threatening more than a dozen countries with higher tariffs, but also signaled flexibility on his new August deadline. The US president unveiled higher tariffs for Japan, South Korea, and a dozen other countries in a push for new trade deals. The White House has said that several deals were in the pipeline, but only two have been finalized so far, with Britain and Vietnam. Trump signed an executive order delaying the previous July 9th deadline to reach tariff deals, now extended to August 1st. But he later said that he was open to extensions if countries made proposals.
I would say firm. No, I would say firm, but not 100% firm. If they call up and they say, would like to do something a different way, we're going to be open to that. But essentially, that's the way it is right now, yeah.
Trump announced the latest tariffs in near-identical letters, first sent to Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba and then to South Korean President Lee Jae-myung. He said trade ties with both the countries are far from reciprocal and time is running out to cut better deals.
I have the signed letters that went out to both South Korea and Japan today, and there will be approximately 12 other countries that will receive notifications and letters directly from the President of the United States. And weeks ago, I stood at this podium and I told all of you that the President was going to create tailor-made trade plans for each and every country on this planet, and that's what this administration continues to be focused on.
Trump issued similar letters to countries including Indonesia, Bangladesh, Thailand, South Africa and Malaysia, saying that he would slap duties on their goods ranging from 25% to 40%. According to letters posted to Trump's Truth Social platform, goods from Indonesia will face a 32% tariff, while the level for Bangladesh is 35% and Thailand 36%. Most countries receiving letters so far had duties similar or unchanged from threatened rates in April, although some like Laos and Cambodia see notably lower levels. Reacting to new tariff, Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba said on Sunday that he will not easily compromise in trade talks with Washington. South Africa is also facing 30% trade tariff under the latest announcement. Trump has also threatened another 10% tariff on countries aligning themselves with the emerging BRICS nations. South Africa is a BRICS nation. President Cyril Ramaphosa condemned the latest tariff move by Trump, saying that efforts to punish the bloc were disappointing. Ramaphosa added, "It cannot be that might should now be right." And well, for more on this and to talk to us more about Trump's latest tariff deadline, we are now being joined by Greg Swenson, who is a foreign affairs analyst and an economist, joining us live from Italy here on Race to Power. Welcome to WION, Mr. Swenson. First up, of course, what do you make of Trump time and again shifting the tariff deadline, and what will actually happen on August 1st?
Well, I think it just shows that the president can be flexible. The president can pivot when he realizes that something is not realistic. And I think it was somewhat unrealistic to think we could get all of these trade deals done in such a short amount of time. But I also think it means that he is serious about holding our trading partners accountable for their protectionist or mercantilist trade behavior. And that's really what's driving this process. It's not just the trade deficits that we have with many of our trading partners, but it's just the unfairness. It's free trade, but it's not fair trade. And I think Japan is probably the best example of that, and that's why he specifically called out Japan in the last few days about some of their really hostile tariffs that they have on American goods.
All right, Mr. Swenson, but what do you make of Trump sending out letters while negotiations are underway rather than giving out the statements? What do you make of that tactic?
Yeah, I think it's another, the president likes to be provocative. He likes to get things done. He's always about the end game. What's the goal here? And the goal is to get to bring our trading partners back to the negotiating table, but also to end up with deals that are free and fair. So, I don't think we're going to see some of the really high tariffs that were threatened initially in early April. But I do think that he has to impose some tariffs, not only to bring some balance to the trade deficits or surpluses, but also some of the real extreme cases, like some of the auto tariffs that are way too high on American exports, especially in agriculture. We're exporting rice to Japan, for example, with 300% tariffs. I mean, it's pretty outrageous to think that there was a lot of there was a lot of criticism of the president when he imposed these 25% tariffs, and yet we have 300% tariffs on U.S. rice being exported to Japan.
How perhaps will the U.S. earnings start to show the impact of Trump's tariffs?
Well, I think from the Treasury's perspective, they've already shown some decent increases in tariff revenue, but we have seen very little effect on corporate America or on consumer prices. So I think that this fear mongering that was communicated by many in the media and many of the president's critics back in April has not really materialized. And this is the same thing that happened in the first term. We had significant increases in tariff revenues, and yet little to no inflation and little to no effects on the trade with the countries that we had tariffs on, notably China. So I think a lot of this was just over concern or a bit of fear mongering about tariffs or about the reshaping the trade agreements. And I think that's important to keep in mind, is that the outcomes of tariffs are not nearly as detrimental as some of his real critics were arguing. So we've seen very little inflation, or actually inflation is down. We are seeing very little effect on corporate earnings. I think the only thing I would be concerned about is decision making. If there's uncertainty as to what the final outcome will be and what the percentage, the tariff levels will be, it's difficult for investment managers and CFOs, CIOs to make decisions without some certainty.
Right, Mr. Swenson, thank you so much for joining us here on Race to Power.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, for the U.S. President, Nobel Peace Prize is a living dream. He keeps talking about how he should get it and how he deserves it more than anybody else in the world. And now, Donald Trump's Nobel dream has got a new powerful backer. The visiting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He said the following words, much to the pleasure of the American president. Take a listen.
To you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee. It's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well deserved, and you should get it.
Thank you very much. This I didn't know. Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming from you in particular, this is very meaningful. Thank you very much, Bibi.
Seems that the Nobel Committee is under some pressure. Well, Israel is not the first one to nominate Trump for this award. Pakistan also nominated the US president for helping reach ceasefire with India. The conflict Trump claims he ended, despite New Delhi continuously claiming that's not been the case.
I mean, the big one is India and Pakistan. I should have gotten it 4 or 5 times. I should get it for the I would think the Abraham Accords would be a good one too. But what do you They won't give me a Nobel Peace Prize because they only give it to liberals.
Trump has been staking his claim on this award for so long. The prized possession of Nobel Peace Prize for ending conflicts around the world. In an epic meltdown on his social media platform Truth Social, Trump posted a long list of reasons why he believes that he should get a Nobel Peace Prize. He claimed credit for ending conflicts ranging from one between Congo and Rwanda, Serbia and Kosovo. He said no matter what he does in Ukraine and Iran, he will not get a Nobel Peace Prize. Well, nominations for the coveted global honor can be made by a select group of people and organizations, including heads of state or lawmakers serving at a national level. University professors, directors of foreign policy institutes, past Nobel Prize recipients, and members of the Norwegian Nobel Committee itself. Till now, total 4 US presidents have received Nobel Peace Prize. The first one was President Theodore Roosevelt. He got the prize for mediating the end of the Russia-Japanese War. Next up is President Woodrow Wilson. He received it for his efforts in ending the First World War. Then comes Jimmy Carter, who received the prestigious award for finding peaceful solutions to international conflicts. The last US president to receive the Nobel Peace Prize was Barack Obama, who received the award in 2009 for his efforts to strengthen global diplomacy and cooperation. If Donald Trump gets the Nobel Peace Prize, he will become the 5th US president to receive it. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian is facing backlash at home. This after he expressed willingness to restart high-stakes nuclear negotiations with the United States of America. Pezeshkian said Iran has no problem resuming talks so long as trust could be rebuilt between the two sides. Now, the critics back home are calling him out for being too soft on Washington. Pezeshkian's remarks came after U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff said that the talks could be held in the next week or so. Trump also confirmed that talks with Iran have been scheduled, adding that Iran wants to talk.
We have scheduled Iran talks, and they want to talk. They took a big drubbing, I think, when we hit the 3 sites, really. I would say the 3 sites, not just the one. The one was a big one, and it was deep in granite, and it was obliterated, it turned out.
Contradicting to what U.S. President and his West Asia envoy said, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Ismail Bagheh said that Tehran has not submitted any request to U.S. for any kind of meeting. Less than a month has passed since Iran and Israel were locked in a war, a 12-day war. U.S. also joined Israel and launched aerial attacks on Iran's nuclear infrastructure. 6th round of talks were scheduled to take place 2 days before the beginning of the 12-day war. And that's when Israel launched preemptive strikes on Iran. The negotiations have been stalled since then. From bunker busters to diplomacy, the question is, how will Tehran and Washington cut short this path remains to be seen. And for more on this, we've earlier joined by Dr. Saeed Imamian, Assistant Professor at Tehran Polytechnic, founder and former director of the Governance and Policy think tank. And this is what he had to say.
Again, you need to understand the Iranian context that is very much distrusting the Trump. So President Pezeshkian's approach is consistent with the Iranian foreign policy in last few years. During the GCPOA, that Iran has always been open to dialogue. And always Iran has been very much outspoken about his nuclear civil program that is not going to reach out to any kind of the nuclear weaponization. So Iran has been consistently open to this kind of the dialogue, as long as the target of dialogue is to ensure that Iran's nuclear program is going to keep civilized.
And shifting our focus to Thailand, the country's cabinet has withdrawn a controversial bill that aims at legalizing casinos in the Southeast Asian country. The bill, a flagship project of the ruling party, went off the table after its Prime Minister, Paetongtarn Shinawatra, was suspended from office last week. Most forms of betting are illegal in Thailand, and the ruling coalition Pheo Thai Party has argued that the bill would end a thriving underground gambling industry by admitting it into the mainstream. In a statement, the government spokesperson Jirayu Hongasap said that the cabinet has decided to withdraw the bill as it needs more studies. The so-called entertainment complex bill, which aimed to authorize casinos and position Thailand as a regional gambling hub, was shelved and mounting political uncertainty after Thailand's Prime Minister Shinawatра's suspension. Pheo Thai leaders Paitongtarn is under an ethics investigation over accusations that she made comments that damaged Thailand's national interests to senior Cambodian leader Hun Sen when the two discussed a recent border dispute last month. Shinawatra organized a reshuffle before being suspended and as a result has kept a cabinet role as the culture minister. Rishi Sonak, once the youngest British Prime Minister in 2 centuries, is stepping into a new arena, a new role, but it's not an unknown territory. The former UK leader is set to join Goldman Sachs as a senior advisor. This is his first major role since resigning as the Conservative Party leader after the Labour Party's landslide 2024 election win. Before becoming UK's Prime Minister, his tenure as Chancellor of the Exchequer solidified and rather strengthened his understanding of fiscal policy, including stimulus packages and austerity measures. After steering Britain through an economic roller coaster from pandemic lockdowns and energy shocks to inflation spikes and interest rate wars, Sonak now brings that crisis-tested expertise to one of Wall Street's most influential institutions, the Goldman Sachs. Well, Sonak's tenure wasn't perfect. His lavish lifestyle wasn't appreciated by the British people at a time when the cost of living was increasing under his tenureship. The Conservative Party suffered one of its worst defeats. Sonak will advise the American MNC Goldman's global clients on geopolitical and macroeconomic risks, offering insights on everything from regulatory shifts to trade wars and even elections. And in a volatile world of rising nationalism, unstable markets and AI-driven disruptions, Sonak's experience is perhaps more valuable than ever. The stakes for his new employer, Goldman Sachs, are clear. Post-Brexit trade disputes, Russia's invasion of Ukraine and China's economic shifts have created a world where geopolitical risk is a daily concern for investors. Sonak's expertise in Brexit negotiations was crucial as the Chancellor. He helped steer the UK through its exit from the EU, a procedure that reshaped trade agreements, regulatory frameworks and investor confidence. And shifting our focus to India now, in a major pre-poll move, the Bihar Cabinet has decided that the 35% reservation for women in the state government jobs will now apply only to permanent residents of Bihar. The decision comes just months ahead of the assembly polls and follows growing demands for a clear domicile-based hiring policy in state jobs. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, who chaired the cabinet meeting, said that the move will promote financial independence and job security for local women across all categories of government jobs. Meanwhile, Union Minister and Chief of Lok Janshakti Party Chirag Paswan has lauded the decision by the Bihar government. Take a listen.
I would like to thank Chief Minister Nitish Kumar for empowering the women of Bihar by giving them 35% reservation. This is a very important decision which has been taken at a key time. There is no doubt that Chief Minister Nitish has always given priority for women development in the state.
In yet another key announcement, the Cabinet approved the formation of a Bihar Youth Commission, a statutory body to advise on youth welfare, education and employment. The Commission will ensure local youth get priority in private sector hiring and will look after the interest of local students and workers both within and outside the state. Jan Suraj Party, which was formally launched by political strategist Prashant Kishore in October 2024, has announced plans to contest all 243 assembly seats. They have positioned itself as an alternative to established parties such as Janata Dal United, Rashtriya Janata Dal and Congress. In India, demonstrations are taking place over language row in Mumbai. Several members of a regional party, MNS, have been detained after they defied a ban on public demonstrations. Demonstrations are taking place against people from other states for not speaking the local language, Marathi. The demonstrations took place in Mira Bhayandar, which is a suburban area just outside India's financial capital, Mumbai. Members of the Maharashtra Navinirman Sena MNS claim traders in the area are refusing to speak Marathi. Despite being denied police permission citing security risks, MNS workers went ahead with their rally, resulting in a wave of detentions. Police say an alternate route was offered to avoid disruption, but the demonstrators refused to back down. The MNS is known for promoting regional identity. They have long campaigned for the use of Marathi in public life and has been accused of using intimidation tactics to enforce it. And today's demonstrations also targeted a reversed government order that would have made Hindi mandatory in primary schools in the region. The MNS called this an attack on local culture. Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis later defended the police action, stating that demonstrations were not banned but needed to follow safety guidelines. With India home to dozens of languages, people from different states head to metropolitan cities like Mumbai for employment, and incidents like this can have a domino effect in other states as well. Well, Nairobi, the capital of Kenya, is limping back to normalcy after demonstrations on Monday that claimed 11 lives and left several injured. While some areas in Nairobi experienced disruptions, life in Nairobi is largely resuming its routine. With shops reopening, schools welcoming back students, Kenyans are hoping for some relief now. On Monday, the Kenyan police had blocked major roads leading to Nairobi and restricted traffic within the city, leaving streets empty. The anti-government demonstrations coincided with the anniversary of the 1990 Sabha Sabha rally. The demonstrations commemorated July 7, 1990, when Kenyans rose up to demand a return to multi-party democracy after years of autocratic rule. Demonstrations have spiraled as demonstrators have been demanding President William Ruto's resignation over his alleged corruption. Other issues demonstrators have cited includes high cost of living, police brutality and poor governance. And our correspondent Louise Oliani has been tracking the story and has sent us this report. Take a look.
Calm has returned to Kenya after the deadly violence that erupted between protesters and security forces over the commemoration of the Sabha Sabha Day on 7th of July. Barricades mounted on major roads and protest grounds still remain in some hotspots, but it is gradually being removed. However, the situation remains volatile based on how things had played out in recent months as youth get agitated over economic bills and police brutality. Kenyans trooped out on Monday, 7th July, to mark the Sabha Sabha Day, a pro-democratic movement originated in 1990. These continuous protests across Kenya highlight deep-seated discontent among Kenyan youth, with a loud cry calling for the exit of President William Ruto. From Lagos, Nigeria, Louisa Olani, WION, World is One.
Well, let's now take a look at other political stories that are making the headlines today. Romania's 2-week-old government is on the brink. Prime Minister Boloan is facing a no-confidence vote amid fury over planned tax hikes. The measures set to start in August aim to prevent a credit downgrade, but have already sparked street demonstrations. Bolan's push to fast-track the bill through Parliament now risks toppling his fragile coalition, testing the country's political stability just weeks into office. In Argentina, President Javier Milei has announced sweeping new spending cuts. The latest move comes just a day before his special executive power expires. State agencies for roads and highways will be shut down, with 9,000 kilometers of infrastructure now open for private bidding. Milei says his austerity moves have saved $2 billion a year. But weekly demonstrations continue as ordinary Argentines struggle under the weight of public sector layoffs and rising costs. In Slovakia, the man who shot Prime Minister Robert Fico in May last year has gone on trial. Charged with terrorism, 72-year-old Juraj Kintola shouted "Long live democracy" as he arrived at the court in Banska. The shooting happened as Fico met supporters in Handalova. He survived 4 gunshots and underwent multiple surgeries. If convicted, Kintola could face life in prison in what's being called Slovakia's most serious political attack in decades. And that's all that we have in today's edition of Race to Power. Thanks very much for staying with us. You are watching WION World One. Stay tuned.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle